Welcome back to another episode of the Dumbfounded Show. Today we have two very special guests of Clean Line Tattoos. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's your guys' names?
I'm John.
You're John.
And I'm Amanda Nichols. We are married.
Okay. Amanda Nichols. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate y'all for coming. I think our schedules have been crazy.
Yes.
So we're always trying to... I think we had to rearrange it like 3-4 times.
At least.
Before we get you on. I apologize for that.
Cool.
Our jobs are crazy too. We never know when we're going to get in or out and stuff like that. But tell us about how it started, Clean Line Tattoos.
In all reality, I went ahead and I've been tattooing since 1995 in different states. I bounced around from shop to shop, state to state. And a few years ago, I went ahead and went to a rehab. And when I was in rehab, I realized that I had to go ahead and change not just me, but my atmosphere.
Okay.
So when I got out, things turned differently where I was working out of, and I wound up having to go to a different location temporarily. And we wound up having COVID come through, and that went ahead and it closed everything down as far as tattoo parlors, as far as everything else went. And the old owner of the shop that I wound up going to, he decided to retire, which left me with the opportunity to go and take over the lease on the building, which I did in Russellville.
Okay.
At that point in time, I had absolutely no fucking clue, none, what the hell I was doing at that moment. It's like I didn't plan on opening up a shop that quick. I didn't plan on moving this quick. I didn't plan on, but the opportunity came about, and it's like, well, might as well jump on it. So I got with my wife, and we started talking, and she came up with a Clean Line tattoo idea, and it just kind of rolled from there.
Man, that's awesome.
A little bit more detailed on that. He was actually going to leave tattooing altogether. He made a comment to me that I can't stay sober in the tattoo industry. He goes, it's impossible. Can't happen. He goes, you go to any shop, someone's doing something. He goes, I'm a drug addict, alcoholic. I'll sniff it out. I'll find who's got what. Yeah. And so he was going to leave it all together. And so we sat for a while, and I did some investigation, and there's a tattoo shop in Michigan. There's actually now 3 of them since then. But they're in Lansing, Michigan, called Inked Therapy. And they work with local rehabs, and all their artists are in recovery. And it was the whole concept of, we can't stay sober in a tattoo shop. And so it was like a safe haven. Right. And so we talked about, the lease idea came up in Russellville for him. And it was like, at that time he was living in a sober living home. I was like, well, when you're there, how many times are the guys coming up to you wanting to talk about tattoo? He goes, every one of them. And I was just like, maybe you're just looking at this all differently. Maybe this is your calling. Staying, 20 plus years as a tattooist doesn't need to be flushed down the drain. And so we came up with the idea of Clean Line, kind of like a pun. The tattoos are clean. He's clean. All the tattoo artists are clean.
Right.
And we kind of went for it from there. And then the 2-3 years in Russellville, all of his clients were from Bowling Green, and most of them were in recovery. And then we had a chance. We had a chance to come to Bowling Green finally, and we took it, and then it's just been going crazy ever since. Totally not what we thought anything was going to be with it, and It's been a major blessing.
I know. I mean, on your guys' social media and everything, I love seeing all the recovery pushes and everything like that. Like, not only you looked out for yourself in recovery, saving yourself, but you're also trying to save the community, which is huge.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
And unfortunately, Kentucky, as well as many southern states, have a very bad opiate epidemic. And there ends up being a strong recovery communities, and we just kind of want to be a place that, no, you don't have to be in recovery to get a tattoo at our shop. Right. Everybody can come get a tattoo at our shop, but we do ask that, you don't come drunk.
Sure.
I'll do that outside. But for people who, a lot of times people have said that their tattoos can be triggers. They used to buy dope from their tattoo artist, or it was one. It just became one of those things that this could be a safe place that, a lot of people look at tattoos as a type of therapy. You start talking to them about whatever's going on in your life as you're getting a tattoo. And it kind of has boiled down to, this is a safe place. You know, your tattoo artist isn't going to try and push drugs on you.
Right.
It's not going to smell like marijuana in our shop. Mm-hmm. Usually it smells like some type of weird hippie incense, but it just wanted to create more of a safe space. In September, when you reached out to me, we were getting ready to do a recovery event for the first time.
Oh, I've seen that.
There usually is one every year called Recovery Rally. And I forget about the reasons. I think it was kind of like political reasons, whatever reason they weren't doing it this year. And I was just like, well, we've got a really big parking lot. Let's do something. And that blew up bigger than we thought it was going to be. But it's more of like, yeah, we're a tattoo shop. Yeah, we want to make money. But there's enough money in the tattoo industry to go around. And our calling for us is more about recovery and that you can recover if you want it.
Right.
We try to offer resources. Our counterpart, Alchemy Arts, does the piercing. She also she's one of the drug alcohol counselors.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of those things we try to offer many resources that we can, or like be an oracle of knowledge for people who want something different, because a lot of people are afraid to.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, this coming Sunday, I don't think he realizes it yet, he's got a tattoo of someone's 1 year sobriety date. And
Oh,
they're gonna
wow,
get a
that's
tattoo
awesome.
for it.
That's huge.
And then we've had a couple of those. One guy drove up from Florida. We were only open for like a month in Bowling Green, and he drove up from Florida to get a tattoo for his like 15th or 30th, or I forget what it was. It was his first tattoo too. It was like the only tattoo he's gonna get.
Wow.
But he
Yeah,
drove
it's
all the
gotta
way
be
from Florida, so that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Your turn.
You got to feel like some sort of like, I don't know. I feel like I would get the chills if somebody's telling me like they've been sober for this long and they give me an honor to tattoo them and stuff.
You tattooed that guy.
I was dumbfounded by the whole idea. Like I said, whenever I went ahead and opened it up, I didn't know where it was going to go. There's no mold on how to go ahead and run a shop that's really the way that we're running it. I mean, it like she was saying and pointed out, you know, our customers or clients, they can go home and do whatever they want. I can't personally be around it. Like if the artist next to me is sitting there and he's snorting a line, I'm gonna want a couple of them too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just me. Mm-hmm. So by opening this up, it was allowing me to go ahead and set that to where it's like, look, if you wind up doing any of this shit in here, I'm gonna send your ass to rehab. If you don't go to rehab, then you're gonna go ahead and be out somewhere else.
Right.
And everybody that comes in there understands that. As far as artists that work with me. Mm-hmm. Is one of it's a trigger. Being around it, I can eventually wind up falling in that other direction.
Right.
How it's blossomed and how it's grown has just surprised me.
Do you have any other artists that are with you that are celebrating recovery or anything like that?
I do, actually. I have another artist named Jonathan Dockery and another one named Toast.
Awesome.
And they both work recovery in different ways, not necessarily a 12-step program, but they go ahead and they actually, one is working a 12-step program, the other one is more on the religious part of it, so it doesn't matter to me which one. I'm not trying to say who's right or wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's whatever usually works best for them. Everybody has their own way of recovering and stuff. Where is your guys' location?
1406 31W Bypass,
Okay.
next door to Pizza Hut, but we are not Pizza Hut.
You guys are
We've had many people come into the shop or our parking lot thinking we were Pizza Hut because there are big signs right next to our building.
Oh, okay.
I actually had a guy come in and he's sitting there. I'm like, "Can I help you, sir?" And he's like, "What are your specials?" I'm like, "Well, I don't really have anything going on until next month." He's like, "Well, like, what were you wanting?" He goes, "Well, I wanted like cheese and pepperoni." I'm like, "Sir?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "We're not Pizza Hut." And you can see he like looked around for a minute. And he's like, "Well, this is embarrassing." Yeah, he sees people getting tattooed. He goes, "Yeah, they're next door." He's like, "Oh." So we've debated about getting a sign to put on our window. You know, we are not.
Right.
But
That's funny.
So how long has it been since y'all opened that location?
someday in December will be a year.
Okay.
I don't remember what day
That's
it was
good.
exactly. I think it was maybe the middle of December. Almost a year. That's come quick. You don't know.
I wasn't sure about it either. That all came about. Just kind of surprised me.
Is there any like tattoos that you can look back on that you're like, I hated it or didn't want to do it and still did it? Or do you just refuse a tattoo altogether if you don't want to do it or don't like the tattoo in general?
As far as tattoos that I hated doing,
Celtic work. He does not like Celtic work.
old school traditional gives me a hard time too. I can do it.
He's actually pretty good at it.
It's harder for me to not add more detail to it. As far as things that I won't do is if somebody comes into me and they don't have tattoos on their hands or on their neck or visible area, and they're 18 years of age or 21 years of age, and they don't have any of these tattoos there, I really will go ahead and try to
He dads them.
away.
Right.
He very much dads them. We have a 24-year-old, so.
Oh, I understand.
I think there's a lot of people that tattoo artists that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very common thing.
Or it's like one of those things, if you don't plan to be a tattoo artist or a body piercer and you know you're not going to be president.
Right.
But otherwise, those are what he always calls job killers.
Yeah.
People will look at that man right away and be like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah. A little bit.
He actually, we had gotten a request from someone. They wanted to do a memorial tattoo of Pabst beer logo, and it didn't occur to me right away. And I looked at him and we're like, I don't know if we really should like. And so I told him, I was like, we offered them some other people in town that were really good at it, but we, us being in recovery, we really don't feel comfortable doing this. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize what your site said. I just liked some of the work you did. I'm so sorry.
Right.
That's funny. So how did you? What made you want to get into tattooing?
Oh, that I did. It wasn't a dream. A lot of artists sit back and say, I always wanted to do this. No, I wanted to be an art teacher. I went to Baum School of Art in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I went to go ahead and just do just that. And after finding out that art teachers really don't get paid shit in schools, districts, they really don't pay, it just fell apart in that area. The tattooing, as far as drawing and everything, I've done that all my life. One of my neighbors in one of the places I was living at, he needed money to pay his taxes. So I had loaned him a couple $100, and in exchange I had this tattooing equipment. And I gave him 6 months to pay me back. And in 6 months, he never paid me back, so I wound up with this equipment. And it's like, what the hell am I going to do with this? I wanted my money, to be honest with you, not this tattooing equipment, but now I got stuck with it. So it's like I started playing around with it, and as I was playing around with it, I mean, we didn't have Google back in the 90s. We didn't have all this other information that was out there, so I'm sitting there pulling in friends and tattooing on them, really the barbaric ways. And I started comparing myself to this work from a shop that was local that was putting out some really nice work. So I went down there and asked them about, coming and working with them. And I didn't know the steps, the apprenticeship, or do anything else like that. And over a period of time, I would wind up, at first I got turned down. Later on, I wound up getting a call from this old biker guy named Bear, and he asked me if I wanted to meet with him. So I went ahead and I came down, I met with him, and I met with another gentleman named Mark Koch. And talking to them, they decided to go ahead and put me underneath an apprenticeship. And at that point in time, I started working underneath Mark Koch, working third shift, my full-time job, and then when I got off, I'd go apprentice. And as I went ahead and went on for about a year, scrubbing tubes, cleaning floors, making designs, doing everything, he finally went ahead and released me to the general public doing small tattoos. And I just kind of never stopped.
Wow. So it kind of fell into your lap, almost.
It did. Things could have turned a different way. If this guy would have paid me back, who says I would have been here?
Wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's awesome how that all works out.
Do other, I don't know, I'm not saying you specifically, but is it a general thing to have apprentices? Like,
nowadays, I hear that a lot of people can go ahead and pick up, but like I said, with the internet, you can learn a lot from them. There's a lot of people, a lot of artists out there that are self-taught by looking at videos and watching videos. There's some really horrible ones out there that are doing the same damn thing. So it's kind of in between. I think going ahead and doing an apprenticeship is probably preferred underneath somebody that's notable about what's going on, so that way you know the proper procedures when it comes down to sterilization. That way you know what's going on.
Sure.
you know, the bloodborne pathogens, to know cross-contamination. These are things that you're not going to pick up on the internet necessarily. And hands-on, going ahead and dealing with customers and having to deal with them in a large volume. I've seen a lot of artists come in with high hopes, and as soon as they wound up having to do 5 in a row, they're burnt out. They can't handle it. I mean, it's not. It's a job too.
Right.
You know, sometimes you get the tattoos that you want to do, and it's awesome. It's fun to do, but sometimes you have to do the ones you don't want to.
Right.
Which are a lot.
Well, you get a nice-looking female come in there, and she wants a tattoo in a private area. Those guys are all, yeah. Oh, what if a guy comes in, he wants his ball sack done? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
Right. And that's where you have to go ahead and separate it. This is where you're a tattoo artist. You're into body modifications. You're not into groping. You're into body modifications, and there is no line between that. I'm willing to do both.
Right.
That was one of the first things you told me when we were dating. I'm a tattoo artist, so I'll end up possibly seeing a lot of boobs, probably a lot of penises and butts, and you can't have a problem with this. This is just the job, and it's always been that way. It's just the job. The weirdest first conversation that I have with someone.
Right.
Was it hard for you to understand that, or like?
No, when we first got together, we kind of had that thing of this is how things are. We both been married before, and we both saw that once we married those individuals, they seemed to change right away of who they were, or you saw the real side of them.
Sure.
We had that conversation that happened to him with his first wife, my 2 ex-husbands it happened with, and it was just like, let's just be who we are, get everything out there, and we were friends first anyway.
Right.
So it was just like, it doesn't bother me. It's kind of funny when you see some people come in. There was one girl when we were dating who was trying to like get a free tattoo, so she was showing everything. And he says it put him really uncomfortable because she just wasn't that, like,
Right.
no. And then I came and he's like, oh, wow, there's my girlfriend. And the look she gave me was just like,
Right.
But I remember she left, didn't get her free tattoo. He's like, I'm so glad you came. It was about ready to get bad.
Yeah.
But
So for John, for you starting out in the late 90s versus, I mean, the styling of tattooing just now, like nowadays has just changed so crazy with all the different styles. Was that a hard shift for you, or did you have to learn like on the fly with everything? Or with like, because you also said you wanted to be like an art teacher and stuff. Was that just natural for you?
Well, coming out to understand that you can go ahead and do full body suits, for instance, that wasn't really such a mainstream thing back in the 90s. I mean, some artists were actually doing that and experimenting with it. The colors, the variations of colors that you had, like I said, in 1994, there was 3 companies that went ahead and supplied tattoo supplies and materials.
Wow.
You had, if you wanted to go and do research on something, you were hitting the public library.
Wow.
And hoping that they actually had something in there that you could use for a reference instead of pulling it up an iPad and just tapping it in, you know. If somebody would have came up to me and told me back in the 90s that, hey, at some point in time you're going to have somebody come in with their cell phone and say, I want this, I would have said, you're fucking nuts, and I want some of the shit you're on. Because there's no way that I would have I mean, the only people back in the 90s that had cell phones were, you know, really rich people, and the damn things were, you know, yay big. So, going to conventions, getting to meet and having the opportunity to talk and discuss with other artists and work in multiple shops that I have worked out of in different states, it has allowed me to open my variety on what I can do and task, and has certainly helped me a lot. And everything that I'm doing nowadays is kind of a reflection on different places that I worked out of. You know, the way that I'm trying to advertise for my business. I got that from European Body Jewels in Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
You know, some of the marketing was Artistic Rebellion, Clinton, Iowa. You know, and everything I kind of combined because I picked out the good points, the bad points, and try to leave the bad behind and try to stay with the good areas. As far as techniques, yeah, we don't have to go ahead and I can order cartridges. I can order varieties. So it's like brushes went ahead and changed. Back then, I had to go ahead and make each individual needle. You'd buy the needles in bulk.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I always say he's that old.
Yeah, you tattoo for 5 days and burn the shit out of your fingers on a 6th.
Soldering.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Did you ever enter any competitions or stuff like that?
Oh yes. Shades of Blue, Ink and Lincoln. Yes, I did. Multiple times I went ahead and entered.
That's awesome. When you do those competitions, like, is do they base it off a small piece you do, or?
They have different categories that they go off of during the daytime. You can go ahead and come in and work in the actual environment, and they can have best of the day. They can have, best black and gray, best small, best, female, male. They just categorize it in different areas. So,
which ones did you enter?
I generally entered in black and gray.
Black and gray.
Yes.
Would you say that's what you specialize in? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like doing that one. Being able to show depth and texture.
I got a question. I just want to know your opinion. Have you ever seen those tattoos that it's like a solid color?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Like a blackout sleeve?
Yeah.
I think that it's very early on in this stage. It's where a lot of people are now starting to do that, but the long-term effects on how is that going to hold up? You're sitting there and you're blacking out something, and then you're going to take white over top of it. It's kind of like painting your car black and then taking white spray paint and going over top of it.
Yeah.
Really over a period of time, that black.
Yeah.
So I have doubts, and I'm not going to go ahead and try to put my name on it quite yet.
Right. I just don't get why people won't cover up a tattoo. I mean, I know it'd be hard to do.
Some are really hard. Like, I have one on my leg that's really bad, and all he's ever told me to do is buy long socks. Like, he just won't do it because it's that bad.
Wow.
Some people I just think have really bad ones. That
Right.
like I could see why they would get a blackout sleeve, because now I've debated about that because he still won't. After 10 years, he still won't touch it.
Right.
But
Is that why usually people do it? Because they have bad tattoos, or?
usually,
It's that,
Okay.
or I've seen it like if they don't like the meaning behind the tattoos, or
too many significant others names
Right.
tattooed on them.
right.
Have you ever seen that in person?
What?
Like just significant others that like.
Oh, yeah, often,
Yeah.
quite often. I love it when people go out there and get their spouse's name tattooed on them. It's a fucking great moneymaker. I mean, I get to make more money covering it.
He tells them flat, he goes, "I'll see you in 3 months."
It's really true.
Just put a little X over it.
It might cost $60 to get the name, but it's $300 to cover that up. Yeah. That's a great idea.
That's funny.
Oh, that's one thing I told my wife, because my wife, she has tattoos and stuff also. And I told her, I was like, we're never doing spouse names or anything. I don't mind matching tattoos, but I'll never get your name or anything like that tattooed on me.
Right.
Nobody should, I think. It's kind of the same thing with like recovery. People are like, yeah, I want my sobriety date. I'm like,
Right.
that can change.
Yeah.
And then what you're left with the date that you failed on, like,
Right.
don't do it.
Yeah.
Man, that would suck. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, you got
Wait, what?
your wife's initial.
Yeah, I have my wife's initial, but
On
I
your
thought
ring
about
finger
it.
too.
Yeah, we both have it, and
Aw.
I thought about it too. If shit were to go south,
Cut it right off.
no, I'm gonna just put real, just real right here.
Just reel on one knuckle.
Just real. Just keep it real.
We'll
or
do a
something.
blackout tattoo.
Yeah.
on your finger.
That's funny.
Oh,
So when you have people walking into your shop, like, is there any questions like you dislike, as in like, how much is it for this tattoo, or how
Does
much
it
is it
hurt?
for a sleeve?
Does it hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big one. Does it hurt?
Right.
How much for a tattoo? I'm like, I don't know. How much for a steak? Depends.
right. Right. There's thousands of kinds of steaks. I mean,
Yeah. We usually do like all of our appointments via email. That way we have like a paper trail of the conversations. So like, yeah, we did say this. It's also screwed me because I like forget to look at it sometimes. Like, well, you said. I'm like, I did. But when they do that, it's just like, so how much for a tattoo? I'm like, well, send me a picture. Where's it going? How big? Font size? This, and that.
Right.
Oh. Then you give them a number. Like, why is it so much? I'm like,
You go do it yourself. Let me know how it comes out.
exactly. Go have your mother's brother's cousin.
Right.
Go do it in their kitchen for you, and then you'll come see us to get the $300 cover up it's going to cost.
Right. If your arm doesn't fall off from infection.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So when you opened up the tattoo shop, like, how did you find your team?
They found me.
They
They
found
found you?
us.
I really thought whenever I opened it up, it's like, oh, fuck. We're screwed.
Sure.
I'm going to be the only one doing this because I didn't know that other people were kind of going and having the same kind of feelings. I didn't know that I would have a young artist walk in and say that they were just, they liked the place they were working at. They just didn't like the environment as much.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd rather go ahead and work in the environment where I said it, the way that I said it. Because I give the guys freedom. They can go ahead, and if they don't want to come in, they don't have an appointment that day, they don't want to come in, all they got to do is call me up and say, hey, I'm watching a movie, I'm not coming in, or something of that nature. And I'm giving them that freedom because these are things that I didn't like when I was working in different locations where I'd have to babysit the guy's shop while he went off and he played around and did whatever else it was.
Right.
I wanted to do that too.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I really did not know how this was going to take off. This
Actually,
is a
with our
surprise.
one artist, Toast, he was just a friend. And when he kind of really heard the concept of what Clean Line was about and that we were coming to Bowling Green, he came out of tattoo retirement
Oh, wow.
to tattoo with us. And then Jonathan Dockery, he was new in sobriety and kind of mentioned the same thing, I think, to the fact that all the shops in town smell like weed. Now, this is just, I don't know if that's true or not.
I do think it's a common thing.
But it
in
was
a
one of
lot
those
tattoo
things that
shops.
he wanted to stay sober, but he's the one that dreams to be a tattoo artist. Like, it's in his blood. He wants it. You can see he's hungry, but he wants to stay sober.
Sure.
And so they, a lot of them just found us, and so it was just like, maybe this is a good thing.
Right.
I have I don't say a friend or an acquaintance, but a Facebook friend that tattoos in Tennessee, and he's like the only person in recovery in his shop, and he's just like, how is it a shop does recovery? How?
Right.
And I was kind of like, I don't know, a profound moment of how is that possible? Because it's so a stigma of tattoo shops equal drugs.
Yeah.
And my question was, how are we doing this? How are you staying sober in a drug-filled tattoo shop?
Right.
Must have strong recovery. But he always comments on some of our stuff online, and I've tried to, come to Bowling Green.
Right.
But I don't know. It's all just been a blessing.
How was the location? Like, how did you choose the location?
Oh, shit. All right.
Again, by accident. Well, we were looking, and then the tornado, when he was allowed to come back to Bowling Green, because the reason why he couldn't tattoo in Bowling Green because he signed a 2-year no-compete clause with his last employer.
Oh, okay.
So going to Russellville was his only option.
Sure.
Well, the 2 years ended, and then we had a tornado. And then all the places we were looking at kind of blew away.
Right.
And you can take the rest off from there.
No, I actually went and looked at a couple different places as soon as they found out. I don't know if it was the fact that I was wanting to open up a tattoo parlor or the fact that I was a recovering addict and alcoholic. Doors started getting shut. I multiple places, as soon as I'd start talking to them, they'd ask me, well, what are you planning on putting in here? It's like, well, I want to put it in a clean and sober tattoo shop. Well, let me get back with you on it. I'd never get a call back, and I'd call back to find out what's going on. And, oh, well, we rented it out to another person. And that just kind of continued.
Yeah.
So as with everything in the industry, usually you have your really good times, you have your really slow times, and around September, every shop gets slow. It absolutely does. September, October, November, December, these are dead seasons. I was struggling up there in Russellville. And I came around Bowling Green, because I live here, to look to see about possibly working in another shop. And I asked 3 different places, and I was told either it was I could come in, but I wouldn't be able to do any walk-ins. I could go ahead, and they didn't have enough space for me. You know, and that was generally...
Or sign another contract, which
that
he'll
was
never
another
do
one
again.
of them was contract, and that ain't ever happening. None of my artists will ever have to sign one either.
No.
I went to the building where I was at, and there was a tattoo parlor there prior. Well, I went there, so I was told that they had room and I could possibly get a job. So I went up there, and I pulled up on my bike. I just got it. And there was this older lady and a guy out there with a weed whacker, and it's about 9 o'clock at night, and I'm trying to figure out which direction they're going because I don't want to have my bike hit by stones. So I start talking to this lady about where I could park. And she tells me on the side of the building, so I go over there and I park it on the side of the building. She comes up, starts talking to me and asking me questions, and I inform her that I'm a tattoo artist, what I'm into, what I'm about. You know, I'm going into too much detail with her at this point in time. She didn't know about AA. She didn't know about that as far as that goes. She didn't know that the clubhouse was right across the street, the 13th Street Clubhouse.
Right.
For Alcoholics Anonymous. She had no clue about that. But she liked my personality enough to go ahead and walk in there with me and tell the guy, it's like, hey, I met your new artist. This guy turned around. That ain't my artist. He's not my new artist. And it was immediately just, nope. Okay, this is screwed.
Damn.
I didn't know they had that much tension going on.
Right.
Well, I talked to the guy after she left, and it didn't go right. I didn't feel right, and I left. And I had called Sheila King up, which was the owner of the building. I called her up to go ahead and find out if she possibly had another location I'd be interested in. And she informed me that she actually was going to have that location available, and what would I think about taking that over?
Wow.
I don't know what else to say on that one. That one,
She was the old lady
floored
doing the
me.
yard
I
work at 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
She was the
Damn.
landlady.
I couldn't say yes quick enough. I couldn't go ahead and get. I mean, that was probably one of the prime locations that I looked at when I first got here in 2011,
Wow.
thinking that would be a good place to put a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
And then it just has blossomed since then.
Wow. Not a bad thing at all. I mean, you guys are starting to blow up. I'm starting to see more and more of you all over social media and everything.
I was on the news a couple times this year for our shop,
Uh-huh.
like WKBO or three times we were on the news as a shop.
Sure.
And because I've got, I guess, very memorable hair,
Uh-huh.
I was at Walmart and someone's like, I saw you on the news. I'm like, I went to my son's school for a parent-teacher conference, and I'm sitting there talking to the teacher, and some lady walks by, and she's like, hey, I saw you on the news. I was like, okay. And a week ago, I was depositing at the bank, our bank, making a deposit. She's like, I saw you on the news. I'm like, this is really weird, and I know how celebrities feel, I guess. It's really awkward.
So how are those? I know you were doing like some golden ticket thing.
The golden ticket.
5 of them.
We had 8.
You had 8 of them.
We had 8
Okay.
of them.
Are they all gone already?
They are already gone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Man.
That's
I
awesome.
just saw that on the way over
Well,
here.
what started before we came to Bowling Green, and he was struggling with, like, in Russellville when he was...
So that was
job hunt-
before opening the location.
Yeah, when he was job hunting, everybody turned him down.
Wow.
It was the month of September. Well, in recovery, the month of September is recovery month. The whole month is dedicated to learning about addiction. And so we came up with this idea at that time was $300 for 5 hours. All of a sudden, within a week, I had booked him the entire month up. Got us through the rest of the year and helped pay for the deposit to get the new place.
Right.
Well, when September came around this year, he's like, please not do 5 hours. Let's do
getting
4.
old.
He's like, let's do 4 hours. So for the month of September, we ran the same special, 4 hours for $300. Booked up the entire month of September. And September starts to get slow as the tattoo industry in general. October gets really slow. November is even slower. So it's kind of one of those things that kind of offer a promotion. Who doesn't want to get, that much ink for
That's good.
that much
That's a
price.
crazy
and
deal.
so we decided to do the last deal of the year would be the golden tickets, because for some reason I thought Willy Wonka and golden tickets and people like to be special, and so I was just like, let's do that for just 8 tickets for the rest of the year and we'll call it a day. And again, within about a week we sold out of them.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. And then we've got, we try to be different than other tattoo shops. A lot of shops do the Friday the 13th event. We did it this year. We didn't really advertise for it. So, but what we did in last February, we did it in Russellville too, was Friday the 24th.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Now, the 24 symbolizes the 24-hour desired token you get when you first go to your first recovery meeting. They call it the most important token you ever get because you decide to quit whatever's going on in your life.
Right.
To a lot of people in recovery, it's more important than their 30-year token than their 10-year token, and that 24 hours of recovery is the most important. So we do the same type of promotion they do at Friday the 13th, except we do it on Friday the 24th, and it'd be $24 tattoos. Well, this year, we did it in February, and it was awesome. We have a selection of, like, recovery tattoos. They can get that for that price. And then we've got the traditional, whatever, Friday the 13th type style, small ones. This year, however, for November, it falls on Black Friday. So we debated if it was even going to be worth doing it because people are going to be shopping. And it was just like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So we posted an event on it. Already got a lot of feedback. People can't wait to do it because if they're done shopping or don't want to go shopping, they can go and sit and wait in line at a tattoo shop.
Right.
But we'll offer many different kinds of tattoos. So there's going to be a section of like the $24 tattoos, and then it'll be like 40, 60, 80. The bigger, the higher the price type thing. But it's just one of those things about and it's just mostly to, one, set us apart from other shops.
Right.
And an appreciation to the recovery community.
Absolutely.
Basically, a lot of people, especially people who are in like recovery homes, they usually don't have a lot of money. They usually just got a new job. I said usually. You did. Well,
I had more money in the recovery home than I did whenever I was before.
Than when he came back home.
Right.
Well, I mean, if they got, maybe they had jail time. They didn't have a job no more. They just got a new job. They want tattoos. They want to cover some stuff they got when they were out there. We call it being out there. Tattoos can be expensive. And to offer little things like this that, you can get, not so much your sobriety date. I definitely recommend not getting a sobriety date, but recovery-related tattoos, you don't have to spend an arm and leg on it. Some shops get big egos on that's beneath them, or they're artists and their time is worth more. And as artists, our time's worth more. But what we learn in recovery is take your ego out of it. It's not about you.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
That's what we got going on. So after November 24th, the next Friday the 24th won't fall until May. So that'll be the next one.
May. That's time from now.
So if somebody wanted to get tattooed by you, what is like your wait list period, would you say?
Okay, that's my area. I deal with all appointments because he tried making his own appointments at one point, and he would forget to record it. Decide to go on a 3-hour bike ride, and there's people calling, "Hey, I'm standing outside your tattoo shop. Where are you?" He'd be like, right.
On my way.
Oh. he rescheduled that day.
Oh, right.
There was one time he scheduled an appointment. He was working on them, but he scheduled 2 more appointments, and they walked in. And he was just like, oh. So I do the appointments now. We do it all via email for the most part. And it depends on the time of year. Like right now, he's kind of open. But this is a slow time of year for the tattoo industry.
Yeah.
But come the middle of January.
Right.
From middle of January, I would say until the middle of May, June. Get an appointment in as soon as possible.
Right.
Because it's going to be, that's tax time. That's like, everybody comes in with all their money. It's like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
We have a couple other artists that are there that are kind of new to the industry that do have pretty much well open availabilities. So if you're wanting to get something done, we can get you in.
Sure.
It might not be necessarily with me, but one of the other artists will be able to get you in. And whenever I go through and I actually bring somebody in, I look for certain things because I'm responsible for what your going to get. If you're coming in to Clean Line Tattoos, that's my shop. Everything that comes in and out of there is a part of me. So the guys that I have that I'm sitting in there that actually are tattooing on other people, I don't have them in there just so I can make money. I'm putting them in there so that way they can go ahead and do what they love to do as well, and they're doing good work. I had one that went ahead and relapsed, and I gave him the option. He had 30 days to go to a rehab or leave.
Yeah.
I was running the place by myself when we first opened up. Wow. I love having the other guys in there. It makes it a lot easier. But this is a boundary that I have. And the one thing that I require is that they put out good work. If they can't go ahead and do it, you know, I don't want them at all.
So do you the golden ticket, was that a one-time thing, or are you
for the rest of this year?
For the rest of this year.
This year. I might do it again. We'll probably do the September event where we do kind of like the golden ticket in September, and the whole month of September we book up. Usually we can't. Usually because of tax time and being booked up. Usually after May, we start doing those types of specials more. Mm-hmm. Because it slows down, there's more time to actually book people.
Right.
No. Don't touch that.
She looks cute.
Yeah.
Not evil, pure evil.
So you have the golden ticket. You said you're going to do it in September?
We usually do it in September for Recovery Month. We call it something else for Recovery Month. And then I guess in October, we're going to start doing the golden ticket. That was his idea randomly, which I'm proud of because he's like, you decide what to do.
Right.
It all depends. I don't know. Kind of just base it off of how busy it gets. If it gets really busy, we usually don't do anything because we're too busy to
of course.
do anything. But usually September, October, and November, we tend to do a little bit more specials just because it slows down so much.
Gotcha.
And it's weird because we know every year. You know, for me, I've been with him about Halloween was 8 years of marriage, 9 years together. So it was like we know every year it gets really slow around Christmas time because people save their money for Christmas. And so we know this every year, and every year we're like, yeah, we're going to prepare for it next year. Maybe we don't. Like we never prepare for it. I think the only closest I've done this year to prepare for it is I bought Christmas already. Christmas is paid for and done.
Wow.
I've never done that in my life.
Wow.
Like ever. So I was really proud of that.
I'm such a last minute person when it comes to Christmas shopping. I am terrible with that stuff.
That's why I was sweating when I was setting everything up.
I tried to get it
never ready
before we came.
Well, I mean, we could wrap it up. I appreciate y'all for coming on. It was great talking to y'all.
Inviting us.
So your guys' location, can you say it one more time?
1406 31W Bypass, next door to Pizza Hut, but not Pizza Hut.
But it's not Pizza Hut.
Not Pizza.
Clean Line Tattoos.
Clean Line Tattoos. Well, I appreciate y'all for coming on. It was honestly a pleasure talking to y'all.
Awesome.
Let's stop in sometime.
Definitely. I'm not going to lie to you. I did see the golden ticket, but I was skeptical. I was like, it must be a new person trying to get their experience in.
No, he was the only one that was offering the golden ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other guys weren't doing it.
No, I think that was my only concern. But now that you said you've been doing it for a while, I was like, okay.
Yes,
just a little bit.
Maybe I'll get the golden ticket next time.
Well, there's a couple of clients he's had for like 11 years that have followed him. And as soon as I posted that, they emailed me like, so about this golden ticket. Like, okay. Wow. Who's it with? That was the first question. Who's it with?
Yeah.
Right.
It's with Tattoo John. Oh. Can we have two?
Well, I'll definitely be getting one next time y'all have some.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll be stopping in for sure.
Well, thank y'all once again.
Thank you.